extra money that we're going to get for the NHS, at least to do what's been called for. It's the minimum amount, isn't it? £4 billion that various
Well, that's what they've asked for, yeah.
Yeah, have said just to keep things as they are, not necessarily to make it better, but to hold the fort. And she's saying that part of it will come from that money that we were all promised, that if you voted Leave, you get the money for the NHS. What do you make of it?
So we'll get the money in 2032 then, the way that it's looking at the moment. Look, nobody's going to say that's a bad thing to give the NHS more money, but didn't they give £4 billion a few months ago as well? I wonder if this is one of those sort of slightly recycled announcements, because I can't think they're going to give £8 billion. It's not quite the 350 million a week, but it's part of the way there. Look, when we do leave the EU, and I'm saying when, not if, when we leave the EU, there will be a so-called Brexit dividend. Nobody quite knows how much yet, because we've got to pay this 40 billion over, 30 years or something. So it's not all going to come at once. But I don't think anybody's going to say this is a bad thing, are they?
It's definitely not a bad thing. I mean, the NHS needs all the money that it can get. But unfortunately, that promise of the 350 million pounds a week kind of hangs around the neck of a lot of politicians. Now, Ian is optimistic about this dividend. We don't know, look, the economy, we don't know how the economy is going to go. If the economy takes a downturn, then, you know, there will be no dividend in reality. I mean, the thing about Brexit is, it's the great unknown. We just don't know how it's going to go.
And just looking into the detail of this £4 billion, they're saying it's a multi-year settlement. But from what I understand, the King's Fund, who researched these sorts of things, said at the end of last year, £4 billion in 1819 is what's... So the NHS needs £4 billion.
They've already promised that. So
this is an extra £4 billion.
So this will be an extra £4 billion a year.
So this is always the problem with announcements, isn't it?
The devil is in the detail.
Absolutely.
And I was reading sort of somewhere that actually, if you look at some of how the other sort of... the way the funding has sort of been stemmed, it might not cover up other gaps. And remember, adult social care is a really, really big part of the NHS.
And it's now Jeremy Hunt's portfolio as well.
Yes.
But the NHS has always said NHS inflation, for some reason, is more than normal inflation. So they need 4% increase every year, and that's what this does. Up to now, over the last few years, it's been a 1% increase each year.
Also,
so I mean, it is good news.
Remember, with Brexit, there's a big issue with immigration, and we have a huge number of gaps in terms of doctors.
Javid's made that decision.
Doctors and nurses
that's actually quite a
So
thing.
the point being, he's easing visa restrictions on those foreign workers, doctors, nurses, all those people that we need. And
we absolutely
they've been having to turn people away for jobs that are vacant.
Which is completely mad.
That's quite a victory for him over the Prime Minister, because, of course, that was her policy.
It was her.
And so I think in his early days as Home Secretary, it sort of started, you mean, to go on.